Hello, thanks for joining me. Today I'll be discussing the Crimean Bridge, or the Kerch Bridge, named for the Kirk Straight that flows under the bridge. The Crimean Bridge is located just east of the Kerch Peninsula of Crimea, just south of the town of Kerch. It connects Crimea to Russia and is a principal logistics line of communication for the Russian military. It's also open to civilian transportation and serves as the primary corridor for both ground and rail shipments into Crimea. The Kirk Straight connects the Black Sea to the Sea of Azov. It is 3.1 kilometers narrow at its narrowest point and 15 kilometers at its widest point, and has a depth of 18 meters or 59 feet. That's important because that means that large ships from the Panamax category can traverse. So for context, generally a 40-foot 40 depth is required for vessels of this size. The bridge has a pair of parallel bridges contained within the structure. One is a 4-lane highway and the other a double-track railway. The bridge was built by Russia after the annexation of Crimea in 2014. The construction began in 2016, and what amazes me is the fact that the bridge didn't exist before its opening day in October of 2018. Here you can see in this satellite image from 2011 that the isthmus wasn't connected at all. Which amazes me. So up until 2018, there was no connection between Russia and Crimea through the Kirk Strait. The bridge is obviously considered a high-value target for Ukraine and was attacked, if you remember, back in October of 2022 when a truck carrying a bomb exploded on the bridge and claimed 5 people's lives. The explosion disabled all westbound lanes from Russia to Crimea. Some of the spans even collapsed into the water. Here you can see the backlog of commercial trucks in Russia at the entrance to the bridge from the Russian side in the days after the explosion. This obviously impacted Russia's ability to support and sustain their southern campaign in Ukraine, which they support to a great extent from Crimea. It is considered a legitimate military target by Ukrainian officials. I'm surprised that Ukraine hasn't considered this high-value target more and thought a little more strategically, as reducing logistic lines of communication in the region would certainly have second and third order effects for the Russian campaign in the south of Ukraine. And unfortunately now matters are complicated, so time is of the essence. So the time to do this is now, especially as Russia just announced on the 11th of January, so yesterday, that they are going to deploy their newest ballistic missile defense system, the S-500 Prometheus, to the region. Now specifically to protect the bridge. It will take a little time to deploy and enable these 12 air defense systems, which include the acquisition radars, the command posts, the launch vehicles themselves, and all the other sensor components that support this capability. The S-500 is Russia's premier missile system with a 600-kilometer range and a target engagement ceiling of 200 kilometers. It can intercept F-35s, ICBMs, hypersonic weapons, and even low Earth orbit satellites. Its capabilities exceed that of the S-400, known by the NATO vernacular as the SA-21. So this should be very concerning to Ukrainian defense officials, and hopefully this may prompt them to view things in more of a strategic light. Another important perspective is the PR value of the Crimean Bridge. This has served as a landmark of Russian success in recent years and has been heralded as a Russian victory as associated with the annexation of Crimea. The construction lasted more than 2 years and cost the Russian Federation $3.7 billion US. It is the longest bridge constructed by Russia at 19 kilometers or 12 miles. Putin attended a ceremony at the opening of the bridge back in 2018 and accompanied a convoy of trucks for the first drive across. It was celebrated as if it were a national treasure. Let's have a listen.
An enthusiastically patriotic crowd.
In different historic periods, since the Tsar's time, people were dreaming to build this bridge. Then, people came back to this idea in the 30s, 40s and 50s of the past century. At last, thanks to your hard work, your talent, this project, this miracle has happened. Thank you very much.
This is a hugely important prestige project for Vladimir Putin. Much of his domestic popularity rests on the impression that he's the man that reunited Crimea with Russia. That was a political connection. This bridge is an actual physical connection.
So there you have it. The newscaster described it perfectly. It's a prestige project, and his domestic popularity rests on this impression that he reunited Crimea with Russia. And the bridge is the physical manifestation and the physical connection, in the words of the newscaster in this segment. So with this in mind, it seems that Ukraine's objectives would be clear. This particular high-value target serves as more than a line of communication, but also as a symbol of Russian pride and success in the region. Anyways, thanks for joining me today. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and hope to see you next time.